The Varathian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years, and in all that time no species had dared challenge their supremacy. Their fleets numbered in the millions, their technology was unmatched, and their cruelty was legendary. When humanity stumbled onto the galactic stage through a hastily constructed warp drive, the Varathians saw them as nothing more than primitives, useful perhaps as slaves, amusing certainly as subjects. Ambassador Chen stood in the Grand Hall of the Varathian High Command, flanked by her security detail. She had come in peace, carrying proposals for trade, cultural exchange, and mutual cooperation. The Varathian Prime Archon, a towering creature of chitin and cold intelligence, regarded her with multifaceted eyes that gleamed with contempt. "Your species wishes to join the civilized galaxy?" The Archon's translator crackled. "Very well. We shall demonstrate what civilization means." The execution was public, broadcast across every world in Varathian space. Ambassador Chen and her entire delegation, doctors, scientists, engineers, and diplomats, were led to the execution platform. The Varathians had researched human culture just enough to craft maximum insult. They would execute the women first, forcing the men to watch, demonstrating humanity's weakness and the futility of their gender's protection instincts. 12 human women knelt on that platform. 12 brilliant minds who had volunteered to be humanity's first bridge to the stars. The plasma charges fired in sequence, clinical and cold. Earth went silent for exactly 48 hours. When humanity spoke again, it was not with words. The Varathian outpost on Kepler 442b simply vanished, its garrison of 10,000 erased in nuclear fire. The Varathians laughed at first, a tantrum from grieving primitives. They dispatched a punitive fleet of 300 warships. To teach humanity a lesson, the fleet never returned. What the Varathians didn't understand, what no species in the galaxy understood, was that humanity had been at war with itself for its entire existence. Every human advancement in medicine, engineering, and science had a dark twin in weapons development. While other species had evolved past their violent phases before reaching the stars, humanity had brought its capacity for warfare into space, refined and perfected over millennia of conflict. The second phase of humanity's response came 3 months later. Varathian colonies began reporting a strange phenomenon. Their water supplies were becoming contaminated, their food shipments spoiled, their power grids failed without explanation. It took them weeks to realize the truth: humans had weaponized entropy itself. Nanoscale machines, invisible and unstoppable, were systematically dismantling Varathian infrastructure at the molecular level. Fleet Admiral Zhao commanded the human armada from the bridge of the UNSV Righteous Fury. Unlike the sleek, elegant vessels of the Varathians, human ships were brutal affairs, angular, armored, bristling with weapons that other species considered barbaric: kinetic kill vehicles, nuclear warheads, chemical weapons, biological agents, cyber warfare suites that could crack Varathian systems in seconds. "They wanted to show us what civilization looks like," Admiral Zhao said quietly, watching as another Varathian world burned on the view screen. "Let's show them what happens when you awaken humanity's fury." The war that followed was not a war of conquest. It was a war of annihilation. Humanity had learned a terrible lesson. In a galaxy where species could casually execute ambassadors, there was no room for mercy. Every Varathian military installation was reduced to rubble. Every Varathian warship was hunted down and destroyed. And when the Varathian High Command sued for peace, offering reparations and territory, humanity's response was transmitted across every frequency in the galaxy. No, the other galactic powers watched in horror as humanity did what no species had done in 3 millennia. They broke the Varathian Empire, not through superior technology, but through superior ruthlessness. Humans fought with a savagery that shocked species who had forgotten what total war meant. They used tactics considered dishonorable, weapons considered inhumane, strategies considered unthinkable. The Varathian homeworld fell after a siege that lasted 6 months. When human marines finally planted their flag in the ruins of the High Command Chamber, they found the Prime Archon cowering in his throne room. "Why?" the Archon whispered through his translator. "We offered you peace. We offered you everything." The Marine commander removed her helmet, revealing a face etched with cold determination. "You executed our ambassadors, our mothers, sisters, daughters. You thought we were weak because we came in peace. She leaned close, her voice dropping to a whisper. You mistook restraint for weakness. You mistook civilization for softness. Every human carries the capacity for war in their DNA. We just choose not to use it, until we must. The Archon was taken alive, dragged back to Earth to stand trial for crimes against humanity. The verdict was never in doubt. On the anniversary of Ambassador Chen's execution, 12 plasma charges fired in sequence on the same platform where she had died, now relocated to Earth. 12 Varathian High Command members paid for the 12 humans they had murdered. The galaxy learned a new lesson that day. Humanity would extend the hand of friendship to any who would take it. But to those who struck down that hand, humanity would bring the full weight of 10,000 years of warfare refined to a lethal art. In the decades that followed, a new saying spread among the galactic civilizations, whispered in fear and respect. Never harm a human diplomat, for humanity forgives almost anything, except the murder of those who come in peace. The Varathian Empire faded into history, a cautionary tale. And humanity, scarred but unbroken, took its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as a species that would defend its own with a ferocity that made even the oldest civilizations take pause. Ambassador Chen's name was carved into every human starship launched thereafter, a reminder of the cost of peace and the price of its violation. Humanity had learned to reach for the stars. The galaxy had learned not to make them reach for their guns.